Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Z News as we are fresh back from protesting, this time another commercial building in Los Angeles, you guys, that is also in the business of enabling the senseless exploitation of minors. And it's also in the business of commoditizing kids and doing things that frankly don't make any sense whatsoever. So thank you all for joining us. Hello, Shambot. Hello, Madam H, Mena, Jody, Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining us as we're coming back and decompressing from what we saw in this protest. I mean, first of all, shout out to Alexa, who has been protesting what was done to children in Nickelodeon for a couple of years. So it's taken a couple of years since she first started that protest about what was being done to kids by Nickelodeon to then have this documentary come out that corroborates and contextualizes a lot of things that were not being put on the public record, thanks to a ton of crisis managers working very hard behind the scenes to suppress the voice of survivors, you guys, because I think that we cannot continue playing this dumb game that victims that have had to survive being essayed as kids, victims that have had to survive being gaslit, being commoditized by these industries that see nothing wrong with sticking their fangs on children, predators that they are. And again, they do it with full impunity. They get away with it. And none of the laws that are already in the books, mind you, are ever enforced. Because apparently the LAPD is on a permanent vacation. So better luck next lifetime for any child in Los Angeles getting abused, either in a Scientology hotel or commercial building, or inside another commercial building known as Nickelodeon. Because we are reacting to quiet on set and juxtaposing that how it was for us kids, quiet in session. Those were our sets. Those were our sets, you guys. Sessions, Scientology sessions were made to be our sets. We had to pretend to be this role inside of a hotel room for an adult. We were being directed by so-called case supervisors that were in charge of the camera angles, making sure that they really captured everything that they wanted to see. So who were they utilizing to do that? Child actors? Bingo, child actors. We were being drilled with dolls. We were being given scripts and we were being groomed to go on set and then create content for the Scientology executives that were all about consuming the type of snuff films that were being created in Scientology hotels and commercial buildings. And then fast forward to Nickelodeon. And what are they doing? Exposing the toxic nexus between Scientology, Nickelodeon, and the troubled teen industry. It's a disturbing trend that continues to plague our society. Billion-dollar corporations exploiting children for profit while evading accountability and consequences. Whether it's the troubled teen industry, Scientology, the abhorrent actions of Jeffrey and Ghislaine Maxwell, or the dark underbelly of Nickelodeon, the pattern is clear. Money talks, and in California, apparently it also buys you immunity from the law. From the shadows of Hollywood to the corridors of power, these entities operate with impunity, shielded by their vast wealth and influence. They prey on vulnerable kids, using resources to silence dissent and bury the truth. How many more lives have to be sacrificed at the altar of greed before we say enough is literally enough? It is time to shine a light on the similarities between these nefarious operations. The systemic targeting of minors for profit, the exploitation of their innocence, and the callous disregard for their well-being. These are not isolated incidents, but symptoms of a much larger problem. A culture of silence and complicity that allows the powerful to prey on the powerless. As we confront these uncomfortable truths, we must ask ourselves, when will justice prevail? When will we hold these perpetrators accountable for their crimes against children? And then, when will we finally put an end to the cycle of abuse and exploitation? Let us not be complicit in more silence. Speak out against injustice and demand accountability. Every kid, regardless of their circumstances, should be given protections and the care that they deserve and is supposedly, as pitched by the law, afforded to. The time for action is now, and the stakes are too high to remain silent any longer, as if kids are not at risk as we speak. Quiet on set, indeed. But let there be no silence in the face of injustice. It's time to break the cycle and hold the guilty to account. Perhaps in the next lifetime, justice will prevail. Who literally knows? But for now, let's fight with all our might. Harming kids with full impunity is not right. And kids are at risk. So let's review this little snippet, you guys, that I wanted to share with you from this documentary. So we really start to understand what in the literal hell is actually going on.
It was a different time, so I think it was a little easier to go to and from a courthouse and not worry about Twitter that night or TMZ paparazzis being there.
So this is actor Drake Bell attending Brian Peck's sentencing. Brian Peck, convicted child literal PDF file. And he's talking about it being a different time because, you know, TMC wasn't really showing up to these court appearances. It's not great, you guys, that where was the Hollywood Reporter? Where was the LA Times? Where was the mainstream media? Where were they? What type of skirts is the mainstream media hiding behind? Because, you know, the mainstream media always looks out to be calculating their risk and their cash. And yes, mainstream literal media. That now that there's a documentary, now that this is a trending word, now that, let's really talk about it, you guys. Let's really raise awareness, because the mainstream media gives an F about kids. Or is the mainstream media the pathetic vultures that once Nickelodeon discards of the child on the street? Amanda Bynes comes to mind. Then what? What does TMC do? Oh, let's really break this story. Look at Amanda Bynes. She's so crazy. Oh, look at Britney Spears. She's so crazy, you guys. Come to TMC. We're really going to tell you the scoop. And TMC are a bunch of disgusting vultures themselves, eating off on the carcasses that Scientology throws out as they're done with a victim, that they can no longer stick their fangs inside, because that's the only time that a child coming out of this experience gets a break. When they say no, 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 and go to hell forever and disconnect from these predators. So nobody was covering the trial. Nobody was making a big deal out of it because, you know, I'm sure Hollywood was all on the side of the beloved man, allowing Nickelodeon to become a billion-dollar industry, because that's all it takes for the courts of these United States to come up with a different set of books. They have the platitude laws that apply to everyone. Okay, so if you are a low-income person in this country and you do abuse a child and you do get caught in it and you don't have $1 billion in the bank, then you know what? Aggravated child abuse will be counted as a felony and the person will be looking at some time. But if you are this beloved producer of TV shows, then better luck next lifetime, all the kids that got abused by him.
On the day of sentencing for Brian, I get to the courthouse. It was the most unbelievable thing I'd ever seen. His entire side of the courtroom was full. Full. There were definitely some recognizable faces on that side of the room. And my side was me, my mom, and my brother.
Wasn't that interesting, you guys, that this is giving Danny Masterson court appearances on steroids? How many supporters did Danny Masterson had at his side at all times? How many supporters did this kid that came forward being abused by a disgusting man that apparently Hollywood thinks is very beloved, and let's all show up in support?
Brian had been convicted, but getting all of this support from a lot of people in the industry, and yeah, I was pretty shocked.
And isn't it great how just history repeats itself? Who else was convicted? Oh yeah, Danny Masterson, with Francois being all about Danny. Right, Francois? La Pubelle? You're all about Danny. and stop protesting our restaurant because we are defending, endorsing, standing literally behind a convicted arpist. But apparently the same type of toxic Kool-Aid runs in the culture of Nickelodeon. Imagine our shock to see the exact same things playing out in completely, you would think, I mean, there shouldn't be anything that comes across even remotely close. You're talking Nickelodeon and you're talking Scientology. In what world does Nickelodeon and Scientology do the same thing? Imagine. In what world do you end up with a court case of a convicted felon doing things to children that everyone that was in his side would have been in on, knowing all about? That's how it goes. That's how they get their loyalty. You guys do not get it twisted. Everyone in Danny's circle knew that Danny had gone out to D. Danny is not but the tip of the iceberg. They all do it inside of the hotel. You really think that Danny is the only one? How naive can anyone be? And imagine in this other culture where they're all into exploiting underage kids because they really want to be making a lot of billions, because there's a lot of billions to do shows that are so disgusting and unthinkable that why are they just operating? Why are they a scourge in society being propped up? Why is this being propped up? Why are children being made fair game by Nickelodeon? And why are children being made fair game by Scientology? And why are underage children in Nickelodeon signing contracts? And why are underage children in Scientology signing contracts? Because that would be really, really great to fully understand right about now.
My mom got up. She had a statement. I wasn't going to address Brian. There was no reason to. I addressed my statement to everyone in the room. I looked at all of them and I just said, "How dare you?" And I said, "You will forever have the memory of sitting in this courtroom and defending this person. And I will forever have the memory of the person you're defending violating me and doing unspeakable acts and crimes. And that's what I'll remember."
And that's what he's going to remember, you guys. And that's what we are left stuck remembering. Let's not forget. Again, the kids that were essayed by disgusting people inside of Scientology hotels, of which there are many. We wouldn't know because thanks to the corporate mainstream media that is pathetic at their job, that is looking for their next grifting opportunity where they can report something that is trending. And you know what? We really see people on social media weighing in on this. Let's really kind of talk about it. Let's really come ahead of the story now that is so incredible to really discuss, you know, and that is what is getting called out. Like there is no real advocacy if they're just being opportunistic. And when they're just literally doing it for the trending story to really surf it up and cash checks for themselves, you see that there is no integrity in what in the hell they're reporting, because most of the time they're just regurgitating whatever in the hell they've been told and using large platforms as if the mainstream media is not the ones that are out there pretending to be the influencers. Really listening to us because we are called CNN. Aren't we such a great brand for you to listen to? Really listen to us because we're Fox News, because aren't we so great? Really listen to us because we're MSNBC, because aren't we so great? And on and on and on. Put a media there that we can talk about, and you find that they are nothing but pathetic, spineless, go with the wind wherever the story is going today. Next week, we won't give an F because we'll be on to something else. And that level of no holding anyone accountable is exactly why we have multi-billionaires as if they don't have their literal finger on that spine of the corporate media, a spine that is so weak. They just go like that and it's just like it evaporates because it's a spine made up of money exchange behind closed doors, you guys. All these crisis managers that they hire. How do we manage the crisis? How do we come on top? How do we protect our $1 billion account? Because God forbid we lose that $1 billion account, and then the law will really apply to us. You see how it's all about protect the investment, do nothing to change the facts. Do nothing to really take responsibility, but doesn't yap a lot about how you really do care. So this is another segment that I wanted to share with you guys. Hold on, because I just lost it from my own. Let me move it to this other screen. But in this statement, in this other segment from Fox News, let's see what they talk about in this Quiet on Set documentary, which alleges abuse at Nickelodeon.
Uncensored, the 90s are considered by many to be the golden age for Nickelodeon TV shows. A new documentary tells a different story, particularly about the alleged abuse some child actors suffered at the hands of showrunner Dan Snyder.
Dan's treatment of people on his shows was an open secret.
So my lawyer filed complaints, gender discrimination, hostile work environment, harassment, and it was so devastating.
How safe can any kids be in that environment? There would be even bigger problems down the line with actual pedophiles on set.
How safe can kids be in those environments? That is the $1 billion question that the FBI refuses to ask themselves. Isn't that great, FBI, that you get paid 6 figures to not ask yourself that question ever? You're anywhere to be found investigating anything. The FBI cannot investigate their literal way out of a literal paper bag. Because apparently all it takes, yet again, for the 10th billion time, is $1 billion in an account, and the FBI has no legs, has no knees, is fully and utterly kneecapped and paralyzed. Exhibit A, Jeffrey Epstein, billionaire. Exhibit B, Scientology, billionaire. Exhibit C, teenage trouble, so-called trouble teen industry, billionaire. Exhibit D, Nickelodeon, billionaire. So billionaire, and do whatever you want to do to kids, because good luck, the multi-billion dollar of an agency that is the FBI, to want to do anything to help a shred of child. That's why they're getting called out, because how can they not be asking themselves the questions that they're getting paid to ask themselves? This is happening under your nose, FBI. So if you want to go down as the most disgusting, corrupt, child-enabling trafficking of minors and abuse at an industrial-sized scale and just sit there doing nothing, investigating nothing, getting down to no facts and showing all predators that it is safe to go and prey on kids because, you know, how many decades has it been for Alexa Nicholas, for me, for Laura Anderson, for Jenna Miscavige, for Nora, for just about anyone you can think of, for Miriam, from Christy Gordon, from whoever you can think of that is calling out the abuse. How many decades has it taken us to even be able to connect a shred of dot? As if these predators aren't targeting the type of prey that they can sink their fangs into. And then all of a sudden, it's going to take them decades to literally figure it out. But by the time they do figure it out, they're going to be told, oops, your statues ran out. Better luck next lifetime. Because, oops, yeah, the people that preyed on you are part of $1 billion corporation that as long as they have $1 billion in a bank account, then there's another set of laws that we look at to make sure that we never see that sexual abuse was ever a problem, and all these felonies perpetrated on you as a child, well, you deserved them. That's all we ever get told. You deserved to be essayed in America. In America, let them actually abuse the kids. See if anyone shows up. See if anybody cares. Anybody. Literally. Just anybody. Where are the examples that they care? Where are the examples that they're getting paid to care? No one's asking them to be good, you know, out of their goodness of their heart, FBI. We don't give an F about your heart. You get paid and you still do nothing? Damn. That's pathetic. That's disgusting. Y'all can be more useless or disgusting if you literally weren't getting paid to not be that.
Wow. Multiple former child actors have spoken out in the documentary, including actor Drake Bell, who says he was sexually assaulted by his former dialogue coach, Brian Peck. There was also allegations against Jason Handy, a production assistant. Joining us to talk about this, film director Sean Welling and advocate for victims of sexual abuse, Eduardo Lopez de Casa. Glad to have you here on The Fact Room. Eduardo, you're not surprised by this. This is what those who are looking to victimize children, they gravitate towards.
Exactly. And what is so horrible about this series that has come out is just the realization that Hollywood has not learned from its history with child actors like Judy Garland, Mickey Rooney, and Natalie Wood, Corey Feldman, Corey Hyman. They have not learned their lesson, and they're actually protecting the people that are molesting these children.
I mean, what was the lesson that they were going to learn? Because they had a lesson that they were too special, that they were so superior, that the law doesn't apply to them, that they're so unique and wonderful and amazing and have such great ideas that make so much money that why is anyone having a problem? At the end of the day, what was the lesson that Hollywood really needed to really learn? How many decades have they been literally infantilizing all of these directors' fantasies to go, I really want to have my way with all these underage kids because I really have a project that really does require a lot of kids. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Otherwise, I really need a lot of kids. What type of person really needs to have their fantasies made up by kids who do not care? Do not care what that adult is thinking for himself, whatever script he wrote, whatever funny joke he thought he had. Why are underage kids being literally told to act out whatever the hell that adult wrote down on a piece of paper? L. Ron Hubbard did that. That's what he was ordering us to do. What is this people doing in Nickelodeon? Oh, here, say this. Oh, here, pretend that you're this character. Oh, here, pretend that you're this other thing.
Dan Schneider was actually called Nickelodeon's golden boy, even though many child actors were speaking that he was very difficult and they were having problems with him. He was still considered the golden boy and he was still allowed to continue. Of course, he was producing hit after hit.
Right.
So that seems to supersede the abuse. And that's very unfortunate.
Yeah. Producing hit after hit, making a ton of money a la David Miscavige, making a ton of money a la Jeffrey and Ghislaine. These people are making money utilizing underage kids. Why is that occurring? For what purpose? For what reason? Where is the examples of the kids that were such great success stories as a result of being adulticized? Their literal developmental growth was not there because they were told that they were huge prodigies. Just like they told us in Scientology, oh, you're so special. You've just gone through this vetting process. And out of all the people that we vetted, many are called, few are chosen, is what they told us in Scientology. Out of all of these people that we vetted, you are the one to really save our world. You are the one to really get this role that this Dan Schneider wrote for you, because, you know, he really thinks that you're that special person, that he really wants to do this. That is all it took to carry out this level of dysfunction. So these predators could have their literal way with kids, unfeathered access to kids, as if the power dynamic imbalances aren't indefensible on their face. Hollywood Reporter. Idiots at the Hollywood Reporter who don't report shit about Hollywood because all you do is go and launder with soap and bubbles. Your little disgusting industry full of degenerates, full of freaks, full of child abusers that you prop up and sanitize real quick with a little photo shoot at the Hollywood Reporter. Oh my God, you guys. Read the Hollywood Reporter, another multi-billion-dollar industry that cannot afford to come clean. Right, Hollywood? Because that's literally what it is. So we can't really afford to really tell all y'all what we've been doing behind the scenes, being told that we're so special, being told that we're so famous, being told that we're so, oh my God, like you, there's no other. Like you, there's no other. You're a bunch of pathetic clowns. Literally pathetic, disgusting clowns eating off of kids. Just literally sinking your teeth.
But also the cover-ups that go on. For example, when Corey Feldman in 2013 started talking about his abuse on a very big talk show at another network, Barbara Walters looked at him, and instead of being sympathetic, she told him, do you realize that you're destroying an entire industry? With no compassion whatsoever. So they're very protective. And this is so unfortunate. That is why my organization exists and has existed for 36 years.
In what world is a child getting essayed the one that's destroying an industry? Imagine being Barbara Walters, the epitome of mainstream media. Barbara Walters, the one that's supposed to be so smart, asking so many smart questions, the one that's been given supposed access to all these supposed celebrities that supposedly mean a lot. And yet Barbara Walters doesn't have the critical thinking skills to connect a shred of dot. And she calls herself a journalist that gets paid literal top salary. There is nothing bigger than you can possibly think of than, you know, the Barbara Walters, the Diane Sawyers, the whatever in the hell the mainstream media has propped up as their little own celebrity influencers, that all they do is work out deals behind closed doors on how to sanitize narratives, how to confuse the public, how to say it like this, how to say it like that, how to pretend that we didn't know that, how to pretend to, oops, we forgot about that point as well. So this industry is ridden with inappropriate, indefensible power dynamics that should not be getting played out on kids. And the kids that went through that abuse would know, since we had a front row seat at that disgusting dysfunction. That's why you see Alexa being so effective at communicating what in the hell the problem is. That's why you see me speaking to the issue from having that front row seat that we never asked to have a front row seat to, mind you. We were forced to be there. We were told by our parents that we were so special and hand selected to be there. Well, you know what? It wasn't a good idea whatsoever.
And your organization is SNAP, and you guys specifically focus on Catholic priests who take advantage, but you guys do other things.
We're the largest, the oldest, the most active sexual abuse organization in the United States. Like I said, we're celebrating our 36th year this in 2024. But we deal with abuse by coaches, by Boy Scout masters, everything, teachers, counselors. They're all covered under us because, of course, it started as an organization that was covering the abuse of the church, but it grew so much.
And the problem is pervasive.
Yes.
Sean, let's talk to you.
Yeah.
When you see a situation like this, and obviously, I mean, even the Weinsteins, back then, people were quiet.
Yeah.
Different day now, but it took so long and people had to be victimized and they had to be quiet and shut the hell up if you want to continue to work in this industry. Is there a problem with Hollywood?
I think that problem has come to resolution now. I feel like at least big steps forward, Isaiah, and that's exciting for me to see that, because to me, there's nothing more important than a safe place for kids on set. And
so I guess this is the man that Hollywood sent out to sanitize and to crisis manage and to go, how, oh my God, we've grown leaps and bounds in Hollywood because we've really taken a lot of safety protocols. What type of safety protocols are you really doing? Why are children being involved to work in these sets under these conditions that are inappropriate, that can lead to disaster faster than anyone can blink a literal eye? We would know. We were made child actors by Scientology parents since our infancy. They robbed us of having a childhood. And you know what? No adult that lives in those confines is not growing with a disability of having no childhood, of having their developmental growth completely sabotaged by idiots of Hollywood like this man that just go, oh, it's really, really safe and it's really, really wonderful because I think we've done a lot of strides. Sean Welling.
and being a film director and having lots of kids on my set, that is a primary foundation to make a good film. You got to create that safe space, not just for the kids, but for the parents. And
But you never know, Sean, who is on that set with you, who hasn't revealed what their intentions are. Are you concerned about that as a director?
always concerned, and that's why.
And that's any business, anywhere.
Yes. But I have my feelers out, and I make sure that on set we have multiple people watching, looking, checking. And when a kid comes on set, you know, as you know, my child is a co-star of a big film coming out in Memorial Day.
Yeah.
And of course, they are always, when kids come on my set, watch tremendous and absolute care and caution. And that is very, very important.
I mean, you guys, that's the pitch. Everybody cares so much. There's so much caution. What caution was being taken by forcing kids to do what in the hell they were having us do in those Scientology hotels? What cautions were taken if we've seen the type of programming that has been done that, yes, has given birth to a whole entire industry that should be really taking a look at their industry and really repudiating what hasn't worked. But like the SNAP representative just said, they won't learn their lesson. So why don't they want to learn a lesson? Why don't they want to do the right thing if they really are feeling so sorry about all these things? And this man with his platitudes about how he's taking such great care of everything, do you think predators are not looking out for y'all? I mean, what kind of idiots think that they can just grab a bunch of kids, do a bunch of stuff, make something that any of these predators are salivating over? And no, they're never infiltrated. Everyone there is amazing and it's great and it's wonderful and everything is amazing. Well, you know what? Maybe it's not that amazing. Maybe the Hollywood parents need to look at themselves in a mirror and really ask themselves, what type of model of adult are they really basing their little experiment to go, oh, it's not going to happen to my childhood to end up like Drew Barrymore. It's not going to happen to my daughter to end up like Britney Spears. It's not going to happen to my daughter to end up like Amanda Bynes. It's not going to happen to my daughter to end up as how many more child of Hollywood have had their entire lives destroyed because people were so-called taking a lot of really good care that everybody was doing so great on the set.
And I see in the past where we've had these issues and these problems, and have great hope for the future of film industry, that has now gone to the wayside, and we've become very, very clear on how important kids are on set.
And of course, we'll be talking.
I mean, glad that we have his hope, you guys. I'm sure that his hope is really going to get us somewhere. Because you know what? Right about now, there's 0 indictments. And guess what that does to the predators? Gives them hopes. Oh, look, no one's getting indicted for this crime. Oh, look, I have unfettered access to kids in this hotel in Scientology, in this corporation by Nickelodeon, in this corporation by Disney, in this corporation by anyone else who is adulticizing and commoditizing kids to make money on the back of those kids. I mean, are we asking for too much? I mean, y'all let us know. Are we asking for too much? Is this not common sense? I mean, I literally think this is common sense, what it should be for people. Yes, no more kids in Scientology. No more kids whatsoever. Shambod, they were filming the death of their childhood. Lizzie White Witch. The parents of Hollywood kids own some of the blame. They let dollar signs blind them to the reality of the harm that is happening to their children. And that is the problem, you guys. These dollar signs are used to manipulate parents. Oh, you have a very special child. Bring him to us. This dollar signs were used with the Scientology parents. Oh, you have a very special child. Why don't you give him to us so you don't have to pay for them anymore? We'll do you a solid here. Just sign over guardianship with no court oversight, and then it's going to be a very legal transaction to child traffic a volunteer that is a child underage. Imagine. Making the children film those demonstrations and training videos absolutely snuff their innocence out. I mean, that's what it is, you guys. And thanks for pointing that out. And I do think that somebody asked me the other day, what is a snuff film? Because I bring it up that Scientology parents and all of these people were doing disgusting films inside Scientology hotels. A snuff film is a type of film genre that depicts the actual murder or death of a person for entertainment purposes. These films are highly controversial and often associate illegal activities and extreme violence. It's important to note that genuine snuff films are rare, and many claims of their existence are unsubstantiated or fabricated. Well, imagine the ones that Scientology was doing were not unsubstantiated. Imagine that those torturing of kids was done with a straight face, pretending that torturing a child, locking up against their will, playing out those disgusting dynamic imbalances that are indefensible taking place inside of those hotels is as real as it gets to child torture and full-blown bondage. The child strapped to a machine where they couldn't move or literally say stop. So that's just to put it to perspective. That's just to put it to literally perspective. What in the hell is being allowed with a straight face, and kids are being told that that's a religious experience? I don't think so. I haven't watched this documentary yet, but that's just a little clip putting a stomach in the knots. Yeah, Janet. It's giving us, just gross. And how can this be rampant in America? This got to stop. That's right. We pay way too much money to the FBI for them to literally sit there being completely paralyzed and pathetically useless. Why are no one seeing a shred of legal enforcement? What type of message is that sending? Even when the person gets convicted, then who does Hollywood show up to defend? I mean, it's like these people have no scruples inside their brains. Capital call out. I will say that a few people have come forward and showed remorse, regret. It doesn't make it right, but they did disavow. They should have done their due diligence. Well, yeah, and I agree with that capital call out. You can disavow it, but there's a ton more of stuff that needs to be done when these people, it wasn't a lack of due diligence. Oh, we sold you a bad house. Oh, I didn't do my due diligence as a real estate agent. We're talking about childhoods being destroyed. We're talking about enablers of such predatory behavior. And, I sort of started listening to this guy's so-called apology, and it sounds very coached. It sounds like he's saying exactly what he needs to say. But then if you really listen to the undertones, you still see him defending and sanitizing and trying to keep his deals alive while he navigates this. It's like, oh yeah, it was called very toxic, but I really feel bad about it. It's like, why are you still conducting business with kids after you have a track record of being so disgusting? So, it's a little bit more than due diligence that's needed to really, disavow the type of crimes, frankly, that, you don't just disavow them and have no consequences. So that's why we're calling out that there should be a lot more consequences that are literally shown. Rather be in Maui. Mainstream media crickets, if they even report. They don't research and actually tell the whole stories. Just an overview, if anything. Exactly. It's all just this glib overview. Okay, you guys, breaking news this, breaking news that, breaking news blah, breaking news whatever. But, think about it, guys. How many videos have I done on the same literal subject? One subject. How many videos? Go check my account. So, and I'm not any type of media, but one subject. How much into the weeds do you have to get in order to really speak about something? Because everything else is just a perpetuation of the status quo. Oh, only talk about this much, only talk about that much, only say this and only say that, only say this part. Oh, that's going to be too controversial. Don't say it. Oh, that's going to be whatever. And it's like, we didn't want to observe all of these disgusting things that we were put to observe as children. We didn't ask for a front row seat on that level of dysfunction. We were co-opted against our will, given that we couldn't consent. So why did that happen, FBI? Advice. Immediately advice. They really don't seem to care. In fact, they go as far as saying is it being condoned by authorities who do nothing to shut down any investigation. Exactly, philosophy. It's just abysmal record of actually doing anything. And imagine again, it's like none of those kids have anyone to advocate for them. Their parents are compromised. The people doing the abuse are compromised. The people on the outside at the FBI, at the LAPD, at the Clearwater Police, compromised. So we are just literally expected to go into better luck next lifetime, you know. Barbara is a shield for the media. They are all bought. Yep. Shout out to you, Barbara Walters, that apparently doesn't have critical thinking skills for yourself as much as you act like you do. Like you're really going to ask really great questions. But you know what? Your record about asking questions shows that is actually very abysmal, the type of stupid questions you have done. And she has covered Scientology too, believe it or not, you guys. She's dipped her toe anywhere that she could make a buck. Exactly, Marina. Children cannot defend themselves. That's what we're saying. That's what we're all agreeing here. Children cannot defend themselves. They need advocates. They need someone to go, hey, no, hey, this is wrong. Hey, this is completely unacceptable. Jessica, many parents of child actors are complicit as hell. I witnessed these parents pimping their underage kids to adult producers in the form of telling them how developed they were. I mean, it's very much giving the Scientology experience to Jessica. It's like our parents, oh, my child is a past life clear. He would be great to really save a world. And the parents are trying to climb up that social ladder of, you know, fame that Hollywood is selling to everyone. Who wants to be famous next? Aren't you going to want to be told that you're special all day ad nauseum? Apparently, Dan Schneider recently did an interview. I haven't seen it, but he's being allowed to speak. Yeah, and that's great. I think I just saw it too, that it posted. I watched like the first 3 minutes, you guys, and I was like, he's being allowed to speak, but he's in crisis management mode. And, you know, shout out to him for saying better things than the type of things that Mike Rinder and Debbie Cook get allowed to say to sanitize their image. At least, you know, he's been caught with his pants down and he's not saying, oh, it wasn't me. It was, you know, Osa Nickelodeon, the one that did everything. So yeah, shout out to the fact that he's saying that, you know, he feels really sorry and he couldn't be more sorry. But you know what? You're sorry about what you did, or you're sorry you got caught, because you could have been a lot sorrier if you came out on your own before being called out. It could have been better and more believable if you said, oh my God, you know, I had a big realization, you guys, after being sued up the wazoo, then I really do want to come forward with all the things that I'm sorry about that I haven't been called out about. You know, that's probably what the problem is, you guys. Exactly. Who has come forward showing regret? All we ever see is cover-ups, fake firings, and then rehirings. Yep, exactly. Indigo Twin, maybe these adults are uncomfortable being challenged. What they did was wrong and they should be uncomfortable. Yeah. And, you know, again, it's the fact that it's still happening to kids today. you guys, as we speak. Like, you know, an apology isn't going to give us our childhood back, but these people speaking to the actual facts. Stop playing dumb and actually go and speak to the facts, to what you know is the truth. If kids were being put in harm's way, why did that happen? Why was that allowed to happen? Why has that been sanctioned by California? Why does California allow billionaires to have a separate set of laws? Ellison Stoner is doing a lot to create conversations and safety programs for children in Hollywood. But if the parents are complicit, who is there for the child? Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, you guys. It's the exploitation of childhoods. As a child, you don't know what in the hell is going on. So all these safety programs, I mean, you know, why are children just not being used to be part of pawns in a scheme that makes money for adults? It's like the incentives are all misaligned for one thing to go bad. You have one bad actor, and it, you know, I'm not saying every single person in there wanted to ruin everyone's childhood, but we're talking also about the top of the pyramid scheme where you see the same exact thing that you see in Scientology. And that's what you can see in Alexa's protest as she photographed with slime all the enablers that it took for that culture of abuse to run with unfeathered access to kids. And now, after the fact, nobody is really, you know, nobody knows anything. You know, nobody knows everything. Oh, it happened so long ago. Oh, well, you know, better luck next lifetime. Oh, I'm sure it's not happening now. And it's like, really? It's not happening now? How is anyone really going to believe that with a straight face? It's not happening now. If nothing has been called out, if the same exact crisis management operations are always being used by these people, it's always the same shit with a different air freshener. So at what point is it just going to be really confronted on its face for what it is? Whether you are abusing and torturing minors in a Scientology hotel, or a commercial building inhabited by a brand called Nickelodeon, or a Palm Beach mansion inhabited by Jeffrey and Ghislaine, or a commercial building in the middle of a forest pretending to purport to be a troubled teen industry facility. All billion-dollar industries that are making money of kids. And you know what, America? It's not a good idea. So maybe double check what in the hell you're doing. Maybe grab a mirror. Maybe grab a conscience. Maybe grab the laws that are already written that say that aggravated child abuse is a felony and torturing children is not acceptable, even if you have $1 billion in the literal bank. So I thank you guys so much for watching and supporting Alexa. We're going to be doing some content coming up to discuss this further, because it's a plight that, yes, is coming up more to the public consciousness, but, you know, this seems to be the end of endless journey of 1,000 miles, and we only take one step at a time, and baby steps, if that. So all of your support means a lot. So thank you so much for listening to this, and I will see you all extremely soon. Bye-bye.